The used boat market just had its worst year in almost 20 years, and hardly anyone is talking about why. Sales crashed 12.4%, prices barely moved, and one of the biggest dealers in North America went bankrupt with $500 million in debt. At the same time, boat makers are almost giving away new inventory with discounts as high as $24,000. Here's what doesn't make sense at first. Used boat asking prices actually went up 4.2% while sales fell apart. Sellers still think their boats are worth what they paid during COVID. Buyers have walked away. The result is a market stuck because sellers won't face reality. What's really behind this mess? Why are boats with under 200 hours losing tens of thousands of dollars? And what does this mean if you want to buy or sell in the next year? Stick around, because what's coming in 2026 is something the boat industry hasn't seen in a generation. Let's look at the hard numbers because they explain everything. Boats Group tracks boat sales across the country. Their 2024 report shows that overall boat sales dropped 9.1% in the first half of the year. But here's the key part. Used boats fell 12.4% while new boats actually went up 5.3%. People are still buying boats, they're just not buying used ones. The pricing numbers show why. Used boat prices went up 4.2% even though sales crashed. Sellers still think their boats are worth what they paid during COVID, they won't lower their prices. At the same time, new boat prices dropped 3.4% to an average of $174,000. Courtney Chalmers from Boats Group explained it simply. If you can buy a one-year-old used boat with no discount or a brand new boat with better financing and a dealer who wants to make a deal, you're going to pick the new boat. That's what's happening everywhere. A year-old boat priced close to a new one can't compete. The new boat comes with big discounts, dealer deals, full warranty, and better loan rates. The used boat just sits there week after week. J.D. Power tracks how fast different boats lose value. From early 2023 to early 2024, inboard boats lost 17.8% of their value. Personal watercraft lost 17.7%. Stern drives lost 14.7%. Even outboard boats, which usually hold value better, lost 6.3%. The 2025 numbers from the National Marine Manufacturers Association are even worse. Through June, stern drives dropped 20.1%. Pontoons fell 10.9%. Jet boats dropped 14.4%. Wake boats fell 9.9%. Only yachts went up by 1.8%. Rich buyers are still spending. Everyone else has pulled back. Dealers are feeling this crisis more than anyone. They're stuck with boats they can't sell, payments they can't avoid, and customers who stopped showing up. The Marine Retailers Association did a survey in May 2024. 90% of dealers said they have too many new boats in stock. 44% said they have too many used boats too. Only 5% wanted more inventory. Matt Gruen runs the Marine Retailers Association. He talked about dealer meetings from January 2024. He asked dealers what was on their minds for the year ahead. Every single meeting gave the same answer: negativity, negativity, negativity. Patrick McGovern from Mack Boring, a big engine distributor, added more detail. He said the smaller and cheaper the boat, the more inventory is piling up. Some dealers even have leftover models from last year, which hasn't happened in a long time. This is a huge change from COVID times. Back then, boats sold before they even hit the showroom. Buyers paid full price or more just to get on a waiting list. Now last year's models sit there gathering dust and costing dealers money every day. Here's why it gets worse. Dealers don't own their boats outright. They borrow money to fill their lots and pay interest every month on boats that don't sell. Chad Lyon from Wells Fargo said the interest rates dealers pay have gone up 500 basis points in 2 years. That's the highest in 15 years. Dealers now pay way more to borrow money for boats that take way longer to sell. That's a recipe for going broke. The biggest dealer failure happened in May 2024 when Tommy's Boats filed for bankruptcy. This wasn't a small dealer. Tommy's was one of the biggest pontoon sellers in North America with 15 locations in 8 states. The bankruptcy filing showed almost $500 million in total debt. That included a disputed $105 million bill from M&T Bank for unpaid boat loans. One dealer owed over $100 million on boats they couldn't sell. The filing also blamed Malibu Boats, one of their main suppliers. Tommy's said Malibu forced them to take almost $100 million worth of expensive, slow-selling boats. This shows how the dealer and manufacturer relationship works. During the boom, manufacturers made lots of boats. When demand dropped, they didn't want to slow down their factories, so they pushed boats onto dealers, sometimes threatening to cancel their contracts if dealers didn't take them. Tommy's said that's exactly what happened to them. They took boats they couldn't sell at prices that made no sense while interest charges piled up. By October 2024, Tommy's went from trying to reorganize to shutting down completely. 15 locations, 8 states, $500 million in debt. Gone. Malibu ended up paying just $3.5 million to settle, way less than what was claimed. Tommy's wasn't alone. Even the 2024 Dealer of the Year struggled. Roger Moore, president of Nautical Ventures Group, admitted that everyone in boating is suffering and they're no exception after a rough 18 months. Nautical Ventures closed 2 locations and cut 25% of their staff. They cut their boat financing from $56.1 million down to $31.3 million, a 44% drop. Then, in June 2025, they sold the company. The Dealer of the Year had to sell. With dealers struggling and used boats piling up, boat makers started offering huge discounts. These discounts are crushing used boat values. Chaparral is offering up to $24,000 off for their 60th anniversary sale. That's not a typo. Mastercraft is taking $15,000 off 2023 models. Sportsman Boats has a pick your deal sale with up to $13,000 in rebates. Heyday offers $12,000 off. Bayliner offers $8,000 off. Even Ranger, which usually doesn't do big discounts, is giving $7,500 off. Think about what this means for used boat sellers. Someone bought a Mastercraft in 2021 at full price. Maybe they even paid extra to skip the waiting list. They put 200 hours on it and kept it in great shape. Now they want to sell and list it for 10% less than they paid. Nobody calls, nobody emails, nobody shows up. Why? Because the dealer down the street has brand new 2023 Mastercrafts with $15,000 off, full warranty, better loan rates, and 0 hours on the engine. The used boat can't compete. This creates a bad cycle that keeps hurting the used market. New boat discounts make new boats more attractive. Used boats don't sell, dealers take in more trade-ins they can't move, used inventory keeps growing, prices should drop to clear the backlog, but sellers won't accept lower offers. Nothing moves. To understand how we got here, go back to 2020 when COVID created the biggest boat buying rush in history. Over 1 million first-time buyers got into boating between 2020 and 2022, according to the National Marine Manufacturers Association. People were stuck at home with stimulus checks and wanted outdoor activities where they could stay away from crowds. Boating fit perfectly. The problem was, there weren't enough boats. Manufacturers couldn't keep up, dealers had empty showrooms. When way more people want something than what's available, prices go up fast. Experts say COVID buyers paid about 30% more than normal just to get a boat. They weren't shopping around or negotiating, they were writing checks for full price and feeling lucky. Now those same buyers are learning how fast boats lose value. Boats typically lose 20 to 30% of their value in the first year. Years 2 through 5 usually lose another 5 to 10% each year. COVID buyers got hit twice. They paid 30% too much at the start. Then they lost the normal amount on top of those inflated prices. The math is brutal. Boating forums are full of examples. One member saw boats that cost $125,000 new being listed 5 months later for $45,000 less. That's 36% gone in 5 months. Another example involved a 2021 Sea Arc Easy Cat. The owner owed $71,000 on the loan. J.D. Power said the boat was worth $49,000. That's a $22,000 gap between what they owe and what the boat is worth. This is called being underwater. You can't sell because you'd have to pay money at closing to cover the difference. You can't refinance because the boat isn't worth enough. You're stuck making payments on something that keeps losing value while insurance and storage costs keep going up. One forum user put it well, lots of first-time owners are underwater on their COVID boats and are sick of the payments and insurance bills with no way out. This crisis didn't happen because of one thing. 4 problems hit at the same time, and the used boat market couldn't handle it. Problem 1 is interest rates. Boat loan rates went from about 4.5% in 2022 to somewhere between 7 and 10% now. That sounds small, but the monthly payments tell the real story. A Wisconsin dealer gave an example. A $50,000 boat cost about $400 a month back in 2020. That same boat today costs around $65,000 and runs over $700 a month. That's 75% more per month. Boats are things people buy for fun, not things they need. When payments jump that much, lots of people just stop buying. Problem 2 is insurance. Florida is the biggest boat market in the country. Floridians spent $6.3 billion on boats in 2022. But Florida also has the worst insurance problems. After back-to-back hurricanes and lots of lawsuits, insurance companies started leaving. Florida had only 9% of insurance claims but 78% of the lawsuits. AIG stopped covering small boats. Farmers left Florida completely. The companies that stayed raised prices a lot. Florida boat owners now pay almost 5 times more than the national average for insurance. Many policies went up 25 to 60%. When you add up higher boat prices, higher interest rates, and much higher insurance, owning a boat costs at least 50% more than before COVID. Problem 3 is too many boats for sale. Those million-plus COVID buyers are now selling. Some found out boating wasn't for them, some can't afford the costs, some are just tired of the hassle. One forum post described a Ranger dealer that went from having 5 to 8 used boats to having 29 used base boats on the lot. It's not just regular sellers either. Repossessions are way up. One expert with 10 years in the business said he's never seen this many boats being taken back. The repossessed boats are often really nice too, late-model boats that were well cared for, but owners just couldn't keep up with payments. When these boats sell at auction, they go for 20 to 50% below normal prices, which pulls down values for everyone. Problem 4 is that boat owners are getting old. The average boat owner is now 60 years old as of late 2024. There are more boat owners in their 70s than in their 40s. Jack Ellis from InfoLink Technologies explained that many people who owned boats 25 years ago are the same people who own boats today. They're just 25 years older. The boating industry didn't bring in new customers during the good years. It just got older with the same customers. Now those customers are aging out. They're selling, downsizing, or giving up boating. Who's replacing them? Not many people. Younger buyers face higher prices, higher rates, higher insurance, and wages that haven't kept up. The math doesn't work for most of them. Here's how everything fell apart year by year. 2020 and 2021 were the boom years. Over 1 million new buyers jumped in. Dealers couldn't keep boats in stock. Manufacturers couldn't build fast enough. Prices went through the roof. Everyone was happy. 2022 started to show cracks. Sales dropped 4.3% from before COVID, but prices stayed high, still 29.5% above normal. 2023 is when things got worse. Boats Group said that for the first time in 3 years, buyer interest was dropping. Interest rates were climbing, insurance costs were spiking. The first half of 2024 was the breaking point. Used boat sales crashed 12.4%. The number of one-year-old boats for sale jumped 40%. COVID-era boats were the hardest to sell and took 75 extra days to move. Late 2024 brought the fallout. Tommy's Boats shut down. Florida approved 14 new insurance companies, but too late to help this cycle. The National Marine Manufacturers Association said new boat sales dropped 9.1% for the full year to 231,576 units. As of 2025, the industry is still waiting to hit bottom. Forecasts for 2025 and 2026 aren't very hopeful. The National Marine Manufacturers Association thinks sales might start to recover, with spending maybe reaching $55 billion. But there's a lot of uncertainty. 53% of industry leaders say tariffs and trade policy are their biggest worries. The Marine Leadership Barometer shows only 40% of executives feeling good about the next 12 months. Most experts think a real recovery won't come until late 2026. That means at least 18 more months of weak prices and tough selling. For current boat owners, that's a long wait. For buyers, that's a long window to find deals. If there's any good news here, it's for buyers. They have more power now than they've had in 5 years. Dave McKenney from Brewer Yacht Sales says a fair offer is about 20% below asking price. That's not lowballing in today's market, that's just reality. Forum posts show deals of 10 to 20% off asking prices. Overpriced boats often sell for 25 to 40% less than what sellers first wanted. The Hull Truth Forum had a member whose father bought a used 28-foot center console. It was 1 year old with 200 hours. He saved over $30,000 compared to buying new. That kind of deal wasn't possible in 2021 or 2022. Other reports show Yamaha jet boats selling $5,000 below sticker at dealers. Sailboat forums show boats sitting for months until sellers finally drop their prices. Here's what experts suggest for buyers. Shop in fall and winter when dealers really need to clear out inventory before new models come in. Start your offers 20 to 30% below asking. Use inspection reports to negotiate down further if you find problems. Get quotes from several dealers and let them compete. Show up with cash or a loan already approved so sellers know you're serious. One thing to know about financing: most banks won't give loans on boats older than 15 years. That limits who can buy older boats. Current rates for people with great credit start around 6.99%, with most people paying 7 to 10%. For older boats, cash is usually the only option. If you're thinking about selling, here's the hard truth: your boat isn't worth what you paid. Prices haven't matched 2021 levels in years, and the asking prices you see online don't matter because those boats aren't actually selling. Look at what boats actually sold for, not what people are asking. Price your boat to move. Every month you wait costs you money in lost value, storage, insurance, and upkeep. This market isn't bouncing back anytime soon. If you bought during COVID and owe more than your boat is worth, you have tough choices. You can pay money at closing to cover the gap, you can keep making payments until you owe less than it's worth, which could take years, or you can keep the boat and use it, knowing you're paying for fun, not building value. Boats have never been good investments. COVID made it seem like you could buy a boat, use it for 2 years, and sell it for what you paid. That was never normal. We're just going back to how things always worked. If you're thinking about buying, this is your moment. 1-year-old boats are selling for $30,000 below new prices. Manufacturers are offering $20,000 or more in rebates. Dealers will negotiate on almost everything because they need sales. But this won't last forever. Once inventory clears, rates drop, and confidence comes back, the deals will disappear. You'll be competing with other buyers instead of picking from a huge pile of unsold boats. If you're buying, do your homework. Check values on NADA and JD Power. Get quotes from multiple places. Have the boat inspected by a professional. Don't pay asking price for anything. The used boat crisis of 2024 and 2025 is the worst the industry has seen in almost 20 years. Sales crashed 12.4%. 1-year-old boats sit 75 extra days. A dealer went bankrupt with $500 million in debt. Manufacturers are offering up to $24,000 off. This all goes back to COVID when over 1 million new buyers paid 30% too much for boats. Now they're selling. Their boats are flooding the market, and between high interest rates, expensive insurance, and disappearing demand, the market is stuck. Sellers won't lower their prices. Buyers won't pay what sellers want. Nothing moves. This isn't about people not wanting boats. New boats are selling at record discount levels. Those same buyers would buy used if the prices made sense. Until sellers accept that the market has changed, the backlog will keep growing. Tommy's Boats showed what happens when dealers can't adjust. Regular sellers face the same problem on a smaller scale. The bigger worry for the industry is that boat owners are getting old. The average owner is 60. More owners are in their 70s than their 40s. The customer base is aging out and the industry hasn't figured out how to bring in younger buyers. This crisis will end. Markets always fix themselves eventually, but the used boat market that comes out of this will look different. Prices will settle at lower levels, some dealers won't make it, some manufacturers will merge, and boating will have to figure out how to attract younger people in a world where everything costs more. For now, everyone waits. Sellers wait for prices to come back. Buyers wait for prices to drop more. Dealers wait for help that might not come until late 2026. And somewhere on lots across America, boats with 200 hours sit in rows, waiting for someone to finally take them home. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on what's happening in the marine industry. Drop a comment if you're seeing these trends where you live. We'll see you in the next one.